Hey everyone, just wanted to make a video. I was talking with some of our team here about Click Lease and equipment leasing. And a few people didn't quite understand the benefit of it. So I explained it to them, and I thought it'd be good to make a video and explain it to anyone else who might be interested, because it can be kind of confusing, but if leveraged correctly, it can be super beneficial to help you scale your business. So I kind of made an example here of how to use it. That being said, let me just say I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer, so check with your accountant, check with your lawyer before you do anything. But I've done something like this in the past myself personally, and we've helped many customers with deals like this in the past as well. So basically, the benefit of an equipment lease versus buying outright or financing, getting a bank loan or something like that, is that with a lease, you specifically get to take the full amount of the equipment that you lease and write it off in the year that you bought it, right? So we're towards the end of the year right now. I'm sure all of you as business owners are going to be thinking about your taxes, figuring out your taxes, and you might say, hey, I'm showing, I don't know, round number, $100,000 in profit this year. That means I'm going to give 40% to the government in taxes, or 38, whatever the percentage is. So that means you're going to give away, $3,800, $4,000, something like that, just in taxes, right? So that money just disappears. So leasing allows you to, let's say you were going to buy, like I put together a list here. Let's say you were going to buy $11,000 of equipment. Sorry, I had to feed the dog. She kept barking if you were hearing that. But going back, let's say you were going to buy $11,000 in equipment to put a new tech on the road, for instance, right? So let's say you were going to buy a key programmer for maybe $4,000, a key machine for $2,000, maybe a starter pack of keys and remotes, another $2,000, and then $3,000 on miscellaneous tools, leashy picks, more remotes, testers, chip readers, cloning devices, whatever, right? That all comes out to about $11,000. Your payment, this is back of the napkin math, so it'll probably be a little bit different. Could be somewhere around $320, $350 a month for that equipment. And then if you think about, if I'm thinking about considering putting another person on the road, hiring another tech and trying to expand my business, what do I gotta make to be profitable on that person, right? So you could either lay out $11,000 cash buying all this stuff, or buy it on a credit card in which you got to pay it off in 25 days if you don't want to pay interest, or you can do a lease, right? The great part about the lease is, one, you get to keep your cash and you get to take the benefit of writing down your taxable income that year. But additionally, like once you have a system, you can kind of figure out exactly what your monthly nut is going to be for each new tech that you hire, right? So I'm going to walk through this scenario. It's not perfect. I just kind of spitballing some numbers here just for demonstration purposes. So your numbers may be different, but it'll give you the idea, the general idea. So, if all that equipment is $11,000, if your monthly payment is around $320, $350 per month on that, one, you hold on to that $11,000, which is always nice. Let's say you're going to get a new van or used van, whatever. Let's say a van payment with insurance is $800 a month. Might be a little bit more, might be a little bit less. Especially if it's a new van, it probably will be more. But for the sake of discussion, let's say you buy a pre-owned van. Okay, you're at $800 a month. So now your equipment lease and your car payment is $1,150 a month. Let's say, right? Now let's say your technician. Again, I'm just spitballing here. Let's say you're going to pay him $6,000 a month, right? So now kind of roughly you're all in for another technician, and all the equipment in a van is $7,150 a month. Okay, that sounds like a pretty big number, but now let's break it down to working days. All right, there's 20 to 22 working days if you're talking about 5 days a week in a month. So $7,150 divided by 21 working days is roughly $340 per day, right? So if your tech brings in $340 per day on average, you are breaking even, okay? That's minus parts cost, right? If he brings in $340 per day, which is just a couple of car keys, you're breaking even, right? So the other benefit of doing the lease is instead of having put $11,000 of cash and paid it out, now you don't have it anymore, and you put a new tech on the road, you might want to advertise more, right? So if you get to do the lease, now you get to hold on to that $11,000, right? You're reducing your taxable income by $11,000 because you just spent this money on, well, you didn't spend the money, but you did the lease. So you get to take the entire $11,000 write-off. That saves you $4,400 if you're talking about 40% tax rate between federal and state. That saves you $4,400 that was going to go away. So even if the lease payment, if the interest rate seems a little crazy on the lease payment, that $4,400 should cover the interest and then some, right? So not only do you save that $4,400, you have a fixed payment every month, but now you still have that $11,000 cash to throw at advertising to make that new tech busy, right? So, and then once you get a system and you've proven that this works, and I've done this in the past with many customers, many locksmiths who were growing, they say, hey, Sean, I'm ready for another package, right? Because we would kind of just make them a package of everything a new tech would need: key machine programmer, starter pack of keys, some leashes, a bunch of miscellaneous tools. So they'd say, I'm ready for another package. Boom, out the door. They know that they just have another $320 a month payment on the equipment side. And as long as their tech is bringing in $350 a day when they're working, they're in the green. So there's a lot of benefits to leasing. I know a lot of folks don't like to get into debt, but when used correctly, as long as you have a plan and you can afford to pay this should the tech not work out, it's a very powerful tool. If you don't think you'd be able to pay and you don't have any cash reserves, don't do it. Don't take out money you don't have a plan to pay back, or you can't afford to pay back if something goes wrong. But if you have a growing business and you're figuring out how can you scale faster without laying out so much cash, this is a reliable way to do it. In my experience, I've done this with equipment for the warehouse. I've done this with buying shelves. Right at the end of the year, I was going to have to pay a big tax bill, so I didn't want to spend all my cash because I was going to pay my tax bill. But I wanted to buy equipment, so I was able to do an equipment lease, buy all the shelving that I needed, write it off that year, and still keep the cash to pay my regular tax bill in April. So again, not for everybody, but it is a very powerful tool when used correctly and responsibly. And I just thought it'd be good to make a video for everybody who maybe doesn't quite understand how this works. So feel free to comment below if you have questions. I'll do my best to answer them. Like I said, I'm not an accountant or an attorney, but I've just done a lot of things like this. So yeah, hope this was helpful for everybody.